Hello, in this episode I will show how to configure Apache Airflow on Windows machine. Apache Airflow was written natively to run on system Linux kernel, so on Windows you should use either a container, for example Docker, or WSL to run it. Okay, WSL is a Windows subsystem for Linux, which allows you to run Linux on Windows. I will not explain how to install WSL. Instead, in the description of this video, I will link the official Microsoft documentation, which explains how to do it. So I will start the configuration and installation right from the moment we have WSL installed with a Debian-based Linux distribution, such as Ubuntu in my case. So we open terminal and uh, we can start. I'll be using various commands to configure Airflow. I will post them either as a bash script or as a markdown in a public repository on a GitHub that I will create for this short series Airflow with WSL. Okay, so first we need to do an update and then upgrade of apt utility, which allows us to install other programs. So first is the sudo apt upgrade, and then we've got sudo apt update, and then we got the sudo apt upgrade. We often have to confirm our decision that we want to install something, so it's important to remember the password we set for our super user while installing Linux. Yeah, it may take some time. Okay, and then we can install Python. Generally, you should have Python installed on Ubuntu already, but yeah, but for the sake of the formality, we'll enter this. So sudo apt install Python 3. Okay, we have it. You should also install the pip, so the Python package manager. This allows to install packages for Python. For example, the Airflow, right? We have to confirm again. Okay, we'll also install Venv, which is a module that allows to create the virtual Python environments. We'll do this to create like the isolated Python environment for Apache Airflow to avoid dependency problems later. Okay, with the command ls, we can see that we have nothing in our home directory, so we can make the new virtual environment called airflow env with this command. And now we can check, and we have the airflow env already created. This is the folder with our Python. So, of course, in this situation, the virtual environment is still not activated. If we want to do this, we have to find the file activate inside this folder. It could be in bin, and here we've got the activate. So if we would like to activate this virtual environment later, we should just run the script. Okay, but now we should pick the folder, pick the directory on our Windows machine, like Windows file system, where we would like to have our Airflow installed with all the configuration, database, and so on. Okay, and as we have our directory already chosen on the Windows file system, then we can go to from the Linux terminal, and we need to use the prefix mnt. So the mnt, then the drive, and then the path, the following path looks exactly the same as on the Windows. Okay, we must export this as the variable, so we have to go to the home directory. When we have the bash configuration file, we can open this with text editor. I'm using Vim, but you can use none or anything. It's not important. And yeah, so here we add a line like exporting this Airflow home variable because it has to be set before initialization of Apache Airflow. Yeah, we can save it. And quit. Yeah. Okay. Now we can reload the with source the bash configuration file. So source.bash rc. Okay. And with the echo command, we can check if our variable is properly set, and we see it is. And clear, yeah, clear. That's the proper comment. Okay. And we've got the Airflow environment and the Airflow variable set. Okay. So we should activate the Airflow environment virtual environment for Python with a source and activate. So we do the source, Airflow env bin, and deactivate. And after that, as you can see, we have the annotation indeterminate that the Airflow env is active. And now, finally, we can install Airflow with pip. So, yeah. Pip install Apache Airflow. Yeah, and here Python is pulling in a lot of extra modules that are needed to make our software work properly. Okay, and now we can go to our folder to initialize the Airflow. So as we have set the Airflow com variable, we can use it. So after the Airflow is installed, we can go with the cd to our Airflow home directory on Windows file system. And then we can type the Airflow db in it. And yeah, as we can see, the configuration files were created. Okay, so we can open the second terminal, which we will need later anyway, but for now we can check in it, for example, the information from the Airflow configuration file. So this is the Airflow CFG, and we can open this with Vim, and we see that we've got the DAX folder, which is actually the most important part. Will define how our workflows should look. So in this configuration, we see this folder should be called DAX. So we have to create such a folder in our Airflow directory, and then put our Python files with DAX defined there. So to allow the Airflow scheduler to read our directed acyclic graphs. So DAX. As we have this folder created, then we can create the user for us, and we use the Airflow users create, and U stands for the username, F for the first name, then the last name, and we've got the role and email, and in the email you can put everything you want. Also, this is good opportunity to mention that in general, Airflow operates within the LBAC framework or method, not sure how to call it. Anyway, it stands for the role-based access control. So we have to create a user, we've assigned a role for him, and in our case, this is admin, but in Airflow documentation, we can check other already defined roles and also create custom. Main take is that we give permission to the users by assigning them roles. And now finally we can fire up a proper Airflow with the Airflow scheduler command. And as you can see, it is working. And to get to the web server, we need to activate our virtual environment again in the new terminal and go to Airflow home directory, which we already defined. If the Airflow web server is running, we can access it from whatever browser we would like to, and it is working on the port 8080. So when we go to the browser and we type localhost 8080, we'll see the Airflow web server. Here you must provide the username, so the admin, and the password which you have defined. And here you go, a fully functional Airflow from Windows Subsystem for Linux on your Windows.